This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman.
And I'm Juan Gonzalez. Welcome to all of our listeners and viewers around the country and around the world. We begin today's show by looking at the ongoing sexual abuse scandal plaguing the Catholic Church. Newly elected Pope Francis recently made his first public statement on the issue. The Pope ordered the Vatican to, quote, act decisively as far as cases of sexual abuse are concerned, promoting above all measures to protect minors, help for those who have suffered such violence in the past, and the necessary procedures against those who are guilty. But outside groups, including the Survivors Network of those abused by priests, have questioned the Pope's actions. While serving as Cardinal in Argentina, Pope Francis was criticized for failing to meet with abuse victims. Just in the past week, a number of new revelations about sexual abuse in the Church emerged. On Sunday, the Archdiocese of Philadelphia permanently removed 3 priests from the ministry, including one whose accuser killed himself after his allegation was dismissed by church officials. Meanwhile, in Austria, authorities have charged a defrocked priest with sexually abusing 15 children as head of a Catholic boarding school.
We're joined now by Bishop Thomas Gumbleton, the former auxiliary bishop of the Detroit Archdiocese. He's been a vocal supporter of victims of sexual abuse within the Catholic Church. In 2006, he revealed he was sexually abused by a priest as an adolescent while in the seminary. Last night, Bishop Gumbleton spoke here in New York at a benefit for SNAP, the Survivors Network of those abused by priests. Bishop Gumbleton has also been a leading voice for peace, justice, and civil rights for decades. Bishop Gumbleton is a founding member and past president of Pax Christi USA and a founder and former president of Bread for the World. Since becoming a bishop in 1968, he's traveled throughout the world calling for an end to war and the abolition of nuclear weapons. Bishop Thomas Gumbleton, welcome to Democracy Now!
Thank you very much.
It's great to have you with us. You spoke last night here in a church in New York, not far from where we're sitting right now, and you said you dare say a Catholic church would not have allowed you to speak there.
Yes, that because ordinarily SNAP, the Survivors Network, is not welcomed in Catholic churches on Catholic premises, which I think is wrong, obviously. They're people who have been victimized in very cruel ways within the church, and instead of pushing them away, I think bishops and church leaders should draw them in and welcome them and truly listen to them. From the very beginning of this crisis, I think the Catholic bishops made a huge mistake in turning it into a legal situation, going to their lawyers right away, because then immediately becomes adversarial. That's the way our justice system works. So the victims now become the enemy. And instead of dealing with them in a pastoral, loving, welcoming way and trying to help heal what's happened to them, they get pushed away. And that gets carried out in something like being not allowed to speak on Catholic premises.
Bishop, I'd like to ask you in terms of the impact of this almost unending series of revelations about abuse in the church. It has to be the biggest crisis in Christianity since Martin Luther launched the Protestant Reformation in terms of the overall impact on the entire institution of the church. I'd like to ask you first, what's been the impact on ordinary parishioners and Catholics, how they see the institution, and also the enormous economic toll that this has taken on the entire church, as you see Catholic schools closing in parish after parish and properties being sold off while the church pays off these huge settlements?
Well, the impact, I think, most of all has been a sense on the part of the Catholic people, the people who come to church every Sunday, and first of all, they've lost a sense of confidence in church leadership. And so the moral credibility of the Catholic bishops has diminished a great deal. And so that means that when they speak on other issues, the impact of their statements is far less than it might have been if they were accepted more as clear, authentic, moral leaders. And And it's also contributed to the fact that so many people have walked away from active participation in the Catholic community. 30 million is a number that one research group has put forward that have left active participation. They don't consider themselves as not being Catholic any longer, but they're not there every Sunday anymore. They're not quite so willing to listen to the bishop or the pope when either speaks, and that's a big loss for the church. As far as economics are concerned, the closing of Catholic schools I don't think is impacted by this. There are so many other reasons why that's happening. But the Catholic Church has not been wanting for funds for a long time, and I'm not concerned about the fact that because of the way this whole crisis has been handled, the church is having to pay out huge sums of money. That's not good, but a good part of it is covered by insurance too. So when the bishops speak about not having any funds to cover their social programs and so on, that isn't a reality. So many of those programs actually are funded by government sources too. So that doesn't ring true to me, that we're going to not be able to do what we're supposed to do. The church doesn't need to be a rich, very wealthy corporate type of institution.
We're going to go to break. When we come back, I want to ask you about Pope Francis, the direction he will go in, and also talk about why Bishop Gumbleton is no longer a bishop, not even a parish priest, how he was forced out. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. Back in a minute. Thanks so much for watching this report from Democracy Now!, your daily independent global news hour. We don't accept advertising or corporate funding, but rather rely on donations from viewers like you. Please make your contribution by visiting democracynow.org. We need your support today to keep bringing you this hard-hitting, in-depth reporting.